question again, though.
Is there some no-brainer, like you see this happening, I'm going to take advantage of it one way or another?
Well, I think if any of the bigger tokens start to really dump, I think that's a signal. I think that's a signal that you might be looking at an opportunity. And again, might. But you have to go in and assess what's like, especially if you're talking ratio trades, man, you're even if something's dumping in the ratio trade window, I still think you're in high risk territory because it's so hard to look at how that relates to all the other pools. So, I mean, if you see a dump though post bridge, I think that's a potential opportunity. But short of that, I think just keeping calm and not really trying to do too much. The dips are the thing I would only be paying attention to personally, in terms of just accumulating.
I'm going to be very specific. Both of you will start with Dylan, since you went on this point a little bit, and he's fresh in the mind of listening to you think about it as well. What would you look at the screen and say, I'm going to buy that, or whoa, I'm going to sell now? Like, what would you have to see on the screen to make that happen? Like one or more examples.
Well, I mean, if I see, like a 1 to 10 for like one pulse, or I'm sorry, one hex gives me, 10 pulse or something like that. I'm going to sell all my pulse as fast as I can, right? Because that's a ridiculously good back into hex, right? If I see, one hex for 2,000, or that'd be the sack rate of pulse. But if I see one hex for like maybe 1,000 pulse, then I'd probably buy that, right? If I see a 1 to 10 pulse hex, probably would buy that too. If I see, because the starting ratios of Pulse and PulseX is going to be 1 to 1.6 or 1.06. So it'll be extremely close to 1 to 1. And I would think that, they probably go back to around 1 to 3, 1 to 4, maybe 1 to 5. So, a 1 to 10 would probably be a good deal. If I see, if there's any sort of like 80% down kind of things that aren't the forked over coins and stuff, probably would start buying those as well. I mean, shit like that, right? If like over exuberance, okay, and then on the other end, you start seeing things that are up 10x or some shit like that, right? Like, okay, it'd probably be smart for me to start, getting out of this, or opening shorts or something like that, right? I wouldn't want to, think, okay, this shit's up 10x in a week. Maybe I should go buy some. Like, that's probably not a smart idea. You probably shouldn't do that.
I was going to ask, what is the time frame of that you would see a 10x where you'd be like, okay, this is too fast? What is it?
If I saw like 300% in a day, I'd be like, okay, well, probably want to start getting out of this right now. So
yeah, but
like
you mentioned like 10x in a week. What is the threshold? Like, is 10x in a month okay? Is 10x in 3 months okay?
Well, I mean, this is crypto, right? So with that being said, Hex did some pretty crazy stuff in the beginning, okay, after it dumped. And it was gradual. So it went up a lot, but it was gradual, right? And then its first run up from January of 2020 till I believe June, if I'm not mistaken. It had a very nice run up, maybe around 1,000x, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2,000, or I'm sorry, like a 200x or something like that. It was a lot of x's, okay. But then it had like a year long where it just went down, and then after a big payday, it had a pretty sharp rise, pretty big payday, and then it dumped again. But it depends on market sentiment. I do think that if something goes up 10x in a week, you probably should sell that, right? You probably shouldn't hold that. That's probably not a good idea, just naturally speaking. But things happen in crypto that are beyond what you can comprehend. So, you know, that's a hard one, right? So,
Yep.